Welcome to Madison, Wisconsin. Right now we're at Forest Hill Cemetery, and there is a really interesting final resting place that I want to share with you today. Now, this is section 3, just not too far from the front entrance, and the person we're going to talk about today has ties to American history and one of our founding fathers. Now, that person would be Thomas Jefferson. Now, Thomas Jefferson is not laid to rest here, but his son is. Now, the guy's name was Eston Hemings Jefferson, and if that name doesn't ring a bell to you, it does have the last names of both Thomas Jefferson and Sally Hemings. Now, Sally Hemings was an enslaved woman that lived at Monticello with Thomas Jefferson, and she ended up having 6 kids, and it's well believed that all of them could have possibly been fathered by Thomas Jefferson. Now, they did prove pretty much without a doubt that Eston was Thomas Jefferson's son. Now, for just a little bit of background, Eston Hemings Jefferson was born May 21st of 1808, and he was born into slavery at Monticello. He was the youngest son of Sally Hemings, and most historians have considered, that Thomas Jefferson was the father. Now, Thomas Jefferson never acknowledged this, but his children knew it, his descendants knew it, and even Monticello knew it because they've had exhibits about the Sally Hemings and Thomas Jefferson connection. So they've never shied away from this, and they've never denied it. It's very widely known now. They did a DNA test showing that a descendant of Eston's matched the Jefferson male line, and historical evidence also supports the conclusion that Jefferson was probably Eston's father. Now, most historians believe that Jefferson and Sally Hemings had 6 children together. 4 of them survived to adulthood. Other historians disagree, as they always will. Now, Jefferson freed Eston in his will when he passed away in 1826, and they had not yet come to age at the time of his death. So Eston ended up living with his mother Sally in Charlottesville, Virginia, until her death in 1835. Soon after, he moved to Ohio to live in a free state where Eston Hemings earned a living as a musician and an entertainer. In 1852, Eston moved with his wife and 3 children to Madison, Wisconsin, where they changed their surname to Jefferson. Eston passed away in Madison, Wisconsin in 1856. Now, just next to him is Julia A. Jefferson, who was Eston's wife, and she lived from 1814 to 1899. Now, Eston and Julia had 2 sons, and both of their sons served in the Union Army. The other one, the older one, John Wales Jefferson, achieved the rank of colonel. Now, this is the Jefferson family plot, and as you can see by this stone, they are trying to preserve the old stone. This is the stone that was laying in the ground, but they have put it in here. But just over here is John Wales Jefferson, the other son of Eston Jefferson. Now, he was a Union Army officer in the Civil War. He became a newspaper correspondent during and after the Civil War. He eventually moved to Memphis, Tennessee, and became a very successful cotton broker. He never married, and he passed away on June 12th of 1892. Now, just over here on the other side, it's harder to read this one, but this is Anna Maud Smith, and this was the wife of Eston's son, Beverly. Now, Anna was married to Beverly Frederick Johnson, who was technically Thomas Jefferson's grandson. Now, he was born in 1839, and he served in Company E of the 1st Wisconsin Infantry in the Civil War. Afterwards, he ran a hotel after the Civil War, and he also ran the Jefferson Transfer Company, which was one of the leading carriage firms in the area here in Madison. Now, he was a well-known and very respected member of the community in Madison until his passing in 1908. Now, it's said that he knew of his relation to Thomas Jefferson, but very rarely spoke about it to anyone except very close friends. Now, after his passing, his grandchildren altered their family history in an attempt to erase any connection to the Hemings side of the family, and present-day descendants actually had no knowledge of their African American heritage until the 1970s. And that's mostly due to the fact that Sally Hemings was mixed race with a quarter African ancestry. So that's kind of an interesting family tree, and, a strong link to Thomas Jefferson, our 3rd president, one of the founding fathers of our country. Now, the Sally Hemings and Thomas Jefferson connection is very widely known. A lot of people disputed it back in the day, but it has been proven with DNA testing, and there's not really much else that, they know that Thomas Jefferson knew about this, his family knew about it, but history was a little bit slow to learn it. But the fact that Monticello has embraced the history of this and turned it into exhibits really it speaks volumes of the amount of knowledge that's known about this now. Now, aside from the Jefferson connection, this is a very beautiful cemetery with a lot of historic stones and people with interesting stories. So I will have to come back here and do a more in-depth cemetery tour. But that's all I have for today. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.